Welcome back to another episode of Sky Factory Bam. What did I just place on the ground? Oh yeah, it's time for some Chance Cube action. Although this thing is a icosahedron. Let's take a step back. We're not actually here to crank these open today. I came over here to pick up some uranium ore of all things. And what did this one do? Did it do nothing? It dropped, hey, a Nether Star. Quick, let's go grab it. Ooh, it's actually called a North Star. Interesting. It's been renamed. I got quite a few comments about this because we had a few of these Nether Stars drop before and then an explosion would blow it up. And someone actually sent me a tweet where they paused the image on the video and you could see the Nether Star on the ground. Now what's strange about this is that in vanilla these things are supposed to be blast resistant. So something funky is going on there. But anyway, the reason we've come to this place is to pick up some of this stuff right here, uranium ore. And I've made myself a new tool as well. It's a AIoT, which is all-in-one tool? Yep, that sounds about right. It's made out of emeralds, which does slightly more attack damage, and I don't really know if it means it mines faster as well, because, and I am so going to miss some of these, by the way, because, yeah, whatever. Mining speed. It's got efficiency 5 on it. That's what I was trying to say. I think it might be quicker to stand up top here and just go down like this, rather than standing around like trying to figure out which one I'm actually mining, you know? Anyway, we're looking for uranium. The reason why, apparently, this can speed up the production of our lava. So I'm going to mine away these pillars, and we're going to head back over to our base. So we got 57 uranium ore out of that, and I thought I'd have a look to see what we've got in the system, and to my surprise, that's quite a lot of uranium ore. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but I reckon it comes from loot bags, because I don't know how else we would have got ourselves loads of this. So there is quite a lot of it here. And what I'm going to do now is convert it into blocks. So we've got to turn it into ingots, turn it into blocks, and we're going to use it with the crucibles. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. Actually, it's 62 blocks of uranium, which we're going to use over here. And putting this together might end up being a little bit messy. Let's just do one side at a time. So we're going to break that there. We're going to break this over here. We're going to listen to the water hiss, which is something that it likes to do. That sound is ridiculous. I really need a magnet soon, and what I want to do is stand on that edge so I can place them here. But notice how currently they are ×8, and now they are ×20, which is a huge upgrade. And we can easily go along and update this facility to produce it faster. The thing that I've been thinking, though, is we don't really need this right now. I mean, how long are we going to be using lava for power for? At the moment, we're generating so much we don't even need it. So there's really no incentive for me. I've got to pick this glass up. There's no incentive for me to actually do anything about this at this point. So we'll put those ones in there for now. We know about that. We can increase the rate to 20. The hissing has stopped, thank goodness. We might come back to this in the future, though, and put more if ever we need it. And now I'm on fire. That's just great. Where's the nearest water? It's over here. Distractions aside, it's time for us to talk about what we're actually going to be doing in today's episode. And again, without Rendog here, I kind of don't want to stretch too far off into the mods. I want to revisit something we've already done, but do it even better. And that is refined storage. We have a pretty basic system for getting going over here, some automated soldering. But I've been thinking about how we can do this on the next level and how we can really make an advanced system that makes expanding refined storage and other things as well really kind of painless for us. And this is going to actually be about a fair bit more than just refined storage, and you'll see why later on. Let's fly over in this direction, and you can see that a new platform is emerging. This one I want to make quite different from what we've done before. And also, if I fly in this direction, you'll see it's similar to this one. We're using the same block at the top and the bottom. We've got these like sections of 3x3 blocks. And we're using Futura blocks over here, which have this animation as well. So this looks like the high-tech area, and that's what we want to make it feel like when you're in this place. So we're going to use a little bit of chisel and bits right now. In fact, what I want to do is select these cubes so that we can turn these into stair blocks, as I want to have stairs coming down into this area as opposed to having a 2-floor system. That might bite me in the back a little bit later on because I want to squeeze a lot of stuff into this area, right? And it might make it a little bit impossible. But this is the floor layout, and we're also going to put some blocks under here as well. In fact, I can use my diamond wand. I've been using that a lot building this. I've been remembering to give it a go. And actually, that looks kind of bad like that, doesn't it? I think what we need to do is fill this in, actually. all the way up there. Anyway, that's going to be the floor layout. I'm going to repeat this on the other sides, and then we're going to have like an open roof here. I'm not going to put anything at this level to begin with. Staircases in place, we got these metal frames, and over on here I've removed it because I felt like it was too close to what we're going to build in this space. Now this thing is an odd width across, and the one below it is an even width across because there's one extra block, and I don't like that because we're going to build something that is going to be 5 blocks wide. So something around the floor here might change, and I think it's unlikely that I'll add this metal strip back up here because we're going to add stuff around this. But let's talk about the concept first of all. The idea here is not to create things on demand, but to have them already created. And so we're going to create a system where these solderers are individually going to do one task each, with all the upgrades and all that sort of stuff, and these detectors will tell them to craft when there is a certain amount in the system. So that way when we go to make stuff, it will then start making these things, but we will get the things that we want straight away, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Basically we're crafting stuff and storing it in reserve. Now behind here what I want to add is these blocks, and I think they look pretty cool, right? And they will be visible where there isn't a full block, and there happens to be a full block because of this crafter. And I did a test actually. You can chain it like this. We've got importers down the bottom, and naturally you might assume where the cable goes it needs to connect to something, but because everything chains through these blocks, you can actually attach the cable at the back here, and those importers will pick out the items and they will make their way into our system. So as well as that, I want to have a support pillar here because we're actually going to build this on each and every side. We're going to see 3 of those, and then the whole process is going to start again up here. So if I put in some solderers like this and some, well, they're cables, but imagine that they're importers for now, and they will then connect to the system, and that means we need more of these blocks, which gives us this white one in the middle, which we will be able to see. So I'm kind of thinking down the bottom here what we might also want to do is the same thing, and I didn't know that those 3 blocks weren't there. That's kind of weird. So you'd see a little bit of that. I don't really know if that makes any difference or not, but at the front here we could also attach that. And I think actually that one I'm not so keen on. I think we'll keep the other type of block there. But anyway, this will repeat on each and every side going up. And yeah, that's basically the idea. It's a tower that's going to come out of this bottom platform. And I think it's going to end up looking pretty cool. For a second there, I thought this thing was going to be useless. I realised, hang on a second, all of these patterns that I'm making can be made in a crafting bench, and there's actually not a lot that's going to go into this setup. But then I realised I can go into here, I can look up the uses of the solder, and out of the 30 different things that there are here, we have room for all of them inside of this system with 1 space left over. This crafter right here is doing nothing, it's just for looks, but every single other slot is being used by something, which I think is really cool. And I couldn't have planned that any better. Well, it wasn't a plan, it was a complete fluke. And actually, apparently this one is empty as well. So we've got 2 spare, and that's a good thing. So anyway, the next step is to start putting in the items into the detectors above, so we can tell it how many to store in reserve inside of the system. And another thing I want to do is make this system fast. We are going to load this thing up with speed upgrades. Okay, the design has changed. I've spent some time setting this up to realise that with the detectors directly on top of the crafters, they would power the one diagonally as well. So now we need a block to be powered by it to then power the crafter. And also, these were the wrong way around, which was infuriating because I spent ages trying to get this thing to work to realise I needed to flip the crafter around. Now this thing isn't fully set up yet, a few things are auto crafting, but that's how the thing is going to look. And due to that rearrangement, it means there's a gap at the top here and it isn't quite as neat and as nice as it was before. I might come back and revise that if I can think of a way to make it look cool. But that's the tower, and we're going to build another one, and we're going to try and make it look the same as that one over here. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get rid of these. However, let's say for this one I actually leave it on just so we can step back and have a look. But on this one over here, what we're going to start doing is working with stuff that's outside of refined storage. So in the process of crafting that stuff, I've come across things that I need to make manually at the moment, like glass and silicon. And so what I want to do is start automating those things. Now what we can do is basically hook up Ender IO alloy smelters to these crafting things and have a very similar setup to what you're seeing right here, except there would be different machines in these places, but that's only going to be one part of the process. So for example, in order for us to do sand, we need to generate it somewhere else as well, and I think what I might do is siphon it from this system. So if we go have a look, this is slightly worrying. What's happened here? Have we stopped generating or not been generating enough cobblestone from this that it's now slowly run out of everything? Because these were all backed up like that fully a while ago. Huh. Well, that's interesting. And these things have been able to sieve it fast enough. That's a really unexpected change, because last time I checked on this, these were always full. Okay, let's click on that. Oh, that's not what I was trying to do. Okay, I've upgraded it now, so it will provide even more. Looks like straight away the cobble has been distributed out. That's cool. Let's right-click on it. Yeah, it looks like it's now producing enough for us to take it out, because the last one I couldn't click any of it out because the conduit was taking all of it. So maybe it was actually just a shortage of cobblestone after all of that. Anyway, the point I was going to make is that we could siphon some sand from over here, but I think we won't do that. I think we'll end up making an independent system for it. First things first, this is ugly, it's going, and this might throw a spanner in our works, but this isn't working the way I thought it would. The sand is not going into here, which kind of makes sense. I think when you use other machines, you need to import the materials, which means we want to use the space on the back, and then we can't tile other machines along this side. Right, so I'm not sure how we're going to sort of keep the same look and feel here, so we can have another Tower of Power kind of thing going on and get all of these machines working. I just realised though I might have missed a step here actually, because I haven't hooked up this detector yet, so that would connect up with this cable. There we go, now the detector's on. Oh, okay, well that's amazing, so it will get the sound and put... Well, that is really, really good. Nice. I can hear a witch, which kind of makes no sense. A witch. Like, where is it spawned, and why can I hear it? It's when I stand in the middle here that I can hear it. Also, this little fella is visiting us. I don't think it's a special mob. It's just small, and it's got a skin on it, but it kind of freaked me out. I thought it might have been some crazy modded thing. Well, I wanted to throw in a cobblestone generator over here as well, as we're going to produce sand and then glass and other materials, but I just don't want to work. You have to do this thing the opposite way around because the signal will repeat it, and we're using a sticky repeater here to go downwards, but then I think you can only take the materials out of the side, which means I could possibly get away with sneaking in a connection back there actually, but then, let's try that. Let's put an importer, hang on, if we break this block, put an importer to the side, and then a cable the other side of it, that might just work. And the way that we check is by flying over here and typing in cobble and seeing if the number is going up. And the number is going up, which would suggest that that system is working. So we're going to use hammers to generate sand, dust, gravel, and we'll have a cobblestone generator hidden somewhere in this tower as well. And I think the way that we're going to go about doing this is by having sets of 3 like this. And I want to do an experiment and find out if it's going to yank that hammer away. It isn't, which I believe means we can tell the system to export the hammers as well. Now you can also put a crafting upgrade into these things, which means that it would simply craft this if the materials were available and then export it, which is interesting. Now, oh yeah, that's 3 of them. That looked really weird for a second. I was thinking it might have accidentally put it in there. So we can get it to automatically put hammers into it, which means that it runs faster. Then we can get cobble into there, right? In goes the cobble. Power. Power is the thing that I'm missing. Okay, so currently we've got these blocks behind it, trying to keep it look consistent, but we're going to have to use something that will give it power. Anyway, then it will mash that down into gravel. The gravel will go back into the system, and then one further down the line on this side can then go ahead and do the gravel, right? And we'll have the same setup, except it's going to be like a chain reaction. If we run out of dust, let's say, then it's going to kick the one off behind it. That one's going to have be using up the materials, so then the next one kicks off, and that's because we're all running it off of quantities that need to be in the system. But I am pretty confident that that's the way we're going to generate those materials. So there we go, that's all set up and automated with the detectors working in sync with all this stuff down below. And we don't actually need it on this side because you can't hammer the dust. Now you can hammer other stuff like soul sand or cobblestone, so maybe we'll push some of that over to this tower, but this is mainly for getting those materials we want to use elsewhere, and sand would be a key one of those. So I've set it up so all of these will have 4096 of dust, sand and gravel, and I guess we need a cobblestone generator over here as well, and something to tell it how much to have in the system. I think this thing, it's stopped now. Oh no, this thing was never actually... Oh right, yeah, we put the importer behind. Okay, so we kind of just need to migrate this system over to this side. Do you want to see a magic trick? I'm balancing the bucket of water on my head. Let's not spill it, we don't want to make a mess. I'm in. What do I even say about that? I don't know. Somehow I got buckets of water in my armor slots. It's because I've been crafting up some cobblestone generators. Decided for the last bit here what we would do is just fill off this tower by having loads of cobble gens. And it just looks cool. And it like fills up the space. And over on this side I put one of each, by the way, because we had 3 of them and then some being unused. And so all we need to do now is click on that and it should be sending cobblestone. Apparently it's already full. I have put an exporter there. That is supposed to be an importer. I immediately realised that I put the wrong block in that spot. Can I fix it from just here though? Because dismantling this thing is going to be an absolute pain. Okay, importer. It is now importing. This thing turned on, by the way, because that was a connection to get all this working. And that means, that's happening. Very cool. We probably want to put a stack upgrade on that one, but yeah, I'll go around here, and we saw that the importer didn't work with this thing before unless we put it behind it. If you use Ender IO conduits, you can extract from the bottom, or it could have been that it actually was extracting from the bottom before, because you can also do this with a hopper as well. But yeah, so we've got Ender IO conduits that are going to move them from below over into that dropper in the middle, which will import it into the system, and then up above it, like we did before, load of individual detectors, sticky pistons, and it just retains the look that the other tower has on this side. So this project has been a real time sink, and I do hope you've enjoyed what we're doing here, because it's been drawn to a close suddenly as the world started to lag a bit, and I realised as I'm adding all of these machines we're soaking up more and more power for our refined storage system, and now as it starts to craft things and make things, that gets kind of lagged out a little bit, and the whole base could be in danger of basically clonking out. But here's some of the things that we are automatically crafting, and they're being put into the system in half stacks. These things down the bottom here are being put in full stacks. Yeah, there's a few other things like repeaters and comparators as well. Whenever we need something that we commonly use for a project, then I'm just going to come over here and chuck the recipe in. So one of those things was to get paper, books together. We don't have the leather at the moment, and book and quills. In fact, I've noticed that animals have stopped spawning down here. Haven't seen any in a while, and I've been wondering if the mob farm on that side is affecting it, which doesn't make sense, or if some of these chickens up here are actually contributing to the mob cap. Now there is some grass over here that I had a look at, nothing spawning on there, and I don't think there's any animals elsewhere in our base, so I don't know what's going on with that, but that needs to be solved soon. Or perhaps I could get a cow and an animal net and make a farm, but that again would require... That's supposed to provide us with everything, right? Because it should run around the clock, and if it doesn't run then we're in trouble and we need to find some animals. So anyway, books and quills were useful for these things, and just realise it takes a long time to craft all this stuff and then put it into the system. So now we have Silk Touch and Fortune upgrades that would be made around the clock. However, I haven't automated the process of creating the books that they need. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. Over here I changed this out for hoppers. For some reason, I don't get what's wrong with this block, but if I right click on it, that's empty, and then I get a full stack out of there. It just stops allowing you to take items from below it every now and then, and I don't understand why. Except if we click on the dropper here, you can see that cobblestone is still going into it. Maybe there is a particular side here where we can see the cobblestone going through, but I've checked... Ah, it's this side. Right. So what's different about this side compared to the others? I was going to say I've checked them all, but I must have missed that one. Well, okay then. Let's have a look at the amount of cobble in the system, because those repeaters, or sticky repeaters, are due to turn on at some point. Yeah, it's slowly getting there. Strange stuff, because I did a little test. I put down an item conduit under one of these, and it was transferring items into the chest, no problem at all. And then when I made this farm, I noticed that these ones on this side weren't sending anything through. Yeah, that's what was happening. When it comes to these machines, can't get the sag mill to work. I want it to make some silicon with sand, and I just don't know why it doesn't do it. You can see that this thing is on and it's supposed to be making that stuff. Is there something I'm supposed to do here? Always active? You see, I just can't figure it out. I did have a recipe with flint there once as well, and then I took the flint off of the recipe. I've messed around with it several times. Also over here we're creating stone on the fly as well, and we'll just continue to do this now as the series progresses. Whenever me and Ren come across some materials that we need, I think the idea is, hey, let's just plug that into our automation system, so if we ever come back to it again, then it's already here and waiting for us. But in order to expand this, we now need more power. And I just had a really cool idea as well. There's stuff like factory blocks that we frequently, I tell you what, it doesn't work unless you open up the grid. There's things like factory blocks that we frequently use, and perhaps I could put those into these things as well, so there's always some available for you in the inventory. But that is going to be it from me this episode. I've been looking at the clock and thinking I've got to wrap it up. You've sort of seen my plan. I really wanted to do so much more, but it turned out to be a really tedious job. And that's going to be extremely useful for us in this area, and it looks cool as well. Hey, if you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like. As always, thank you for your support. I know you can't take these guys seriously, but that is it from me, this solo episode of Sky Factory, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.